Some days I forget about it, and then other days it's a lot more challenging to digest. The moment she was diagnosed, I just turned on the switch and said, anything and everything we have to do.
A few weeks back, we brought you the touching story of Travis Suit and his 5-year-old daughter, Piper. Travis and 3 of his good friends were planning to paddleboard 100 miles from the Bahamas to the Tiki Bar in Riviera Beach, all to raise money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
I said to everybody before we left the dock, I said, I'm gonna have to be dying before I get off that board. You know what I mean? I thought somebody would have to drag me off that board. My name is Travis Lee Suit from West Palm Beach, Florida, and my daughter's name is Piper, and she's 7 years old. As a dad, it's really hard to watch Piper go through this. You hope for a cure as much as you do everything you can day in and day out, as much as you stay optimistic. There's always this idea, well, she's living with something that could potentially kill her.
My name is Andrew Collin. I'm a professor at the University of Miami, and I'm the director of the Division of Pediatric Pulmonology. And part of what we do here is take care of cystic fibrosis. So cystic fibrosis is a congenital disease. That means that people are born with it. What you see here is the graphic expression of this disease. On this side is that this is black and aerated well with no disease, while if you look at the other side, you see that there's the whiteness here. That means that the area of this lung is not ventilated at all. And as we scroll down, it becomes more and more evident as these bronchi become affected and infected progressively, they become very abnormal.
I'm Gloria, and I am his mother.
Bob, his dad.
Well, the extra precautions and things that you have to be concerned with a child with a CF is to make sure that she does everything that is important to keep her healthy. And all the medications that she has to take, the nebulizer, the vest that just pounds her chest to break up that mucus, just everything.
When I went to the doctor's and I tried out the vest, it was funny because my voice went like this, hello, and it does that because it's shaking me.
It was hard in the beginning for her. She didn't quite understand. And she cried, didn't want to do her stuff, but she got to the point where she knew she had to.
She told me one time, she said, I wish I had never been born with CF, you know, and I'm like, well, Piper, I mean, nobody can help what happens, you know, so it's heartbreaking, but.
And then I know all fathers, most fathers, are determined to do what's best and give their children the best in life. But Travis just goes above and beyond, and everything that he does for Piper, and to make her strong, and she is strong. Took a while, but she reached that point. She is strong, and I think she gets that from him, and he will do anything for her to help her.
The Crossing for the Cure was something we did to raise awareness for cystic fibrosis and its relationship with the ocean. And it was a paddle across the Gulf Stream from Bimini to Palm Beach.
It was such a great cause to do it for that brings back the question everybody would ask, why? Why would you put yourself through that much pain and that much suffering? But like when you see what Piper has to go through on a day-to-day basis, and you know, Travis having to deal with his daughter having this disease that there is no cure for right now, why not?
Like I remember when we started this paddle, like when we were doing it, he's like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an engineer. He's like, I'm never gonna be able to produce the medication that saves her life, but I'm gonna be able to do something that I'm capable of doing. And he's like, and right now that's paddleboarding from the Bahamas.
I was very, very concerned. When I first heard about the same thing, about Travis planning this thing, I was like, do you know what you're saying? Because I had heard that people had paddleboarded from Bimini to Miami, but not to Palm Beach Inlet. And then the fact that they were going to do that at night, well, her reaction was, you have to go to make sure Travis comes back safely.
Yeah, my name is Ed Pence, 64 years old. I'm an avid scuba diver. I've been living on the ocean for over 15 years. I've been diving for more than 30 years. And I fell in love with the ocean, and I couldn't imagine another way of life. I don't think that they realized what they were getting themselves into. The weather was bad. There was no moon. It was really dark. And with each stroke of the paddle, it sent out a pressure wave that I'm sure attract any predator that lives out in the ocean. I know that I would not want to be in that water.
The most challenging aspect of the paddling was the conditions itself, and it wasn't the paddling as much as it was the mind, because when we were out there in the dark, and like Ed said, there was no moon, and we chose to leave at 5 p.m. from Bimini because we were estimating anywhere from 18 to 20 hours. We did not estimate that the wind, the 25-mile-an-hour wind, would push us so fast. And we didn't estimate or think we were going to be surfing swells the whole way back home. The best word I can describe for the way the boards felt was squirrely. A squirrel, you can't predict a squirrel, right? Like, they're erratic. That's what the boards felt like under our feet. And we did not have the right boards because we thought we'd be on flat conditions. We did not have the right boards necessarily for open ocean, rough water paddling. That made it incredibly challenging.
My name's Lori Griffith. I'm with Chasing a Dream Photography, and I had originally heard about Travis going to the Bahamas with these guys and paddleboarding, and so I wrote a story which was published in the local paper, the Jupiter Courier. But the four of them interacted so well, and I think it speaks volumes for Travis that he could get 3 other people to put their lives at risk for his daughter and for cystic fibrosis. And they did that for him, and they did it for Piper. So he's not just an ordinary guy. He's a pretty extraordinary man that can draw people together, and the 4 of them, they were a well-oiled machine. I mean, when one was lacking, like Shane at one point, in the middle of the night, was falling a lot. He was tired, and he couldn't get on his board. He couldn't get his board flipped over right. And with all the sharks bumping his board, which, I mean, we assumed they were sharks, something kept bumping his board, and so he just jumped back on it, but it was upside down. And so he had to get back off again, you know, and flip it over. And everybody helped everybody, and they encouraged, and there's an incredible group of men that did something extraordinary.
Well, early Saturday morning, the journey known as Crossing for a Cure was in the books. Here's video of the 4-man crew known as Piper's Angels arriving back in Palm Beach County. It took them about 15 hours to complete the trip, and overnight the guys battled about 6 to 8 foot swells. Unreal. In the end, it was all worth it, though. So far, they've raised over $15,000 for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Piper was diagnosed with CF 3 years ago and was the motivation behind Crossing for a Cure.
If I were to be asked to go on the Crossing for the Cure again, I would ask when and where, without hesitation.
I'd be more than happy to do it again any day of the week.
Probably just keep doing what I'm doing, enjoy the water and paddling, and see what happens. You know, maybe we'll do something like it again. We'll see.
We went into her first doctor's appointment after her diagnosis. We sat down and I said, what are the best activities that she could participate in? You know, dancing, whatever, swimming, what is it? And at that time, I didn't know that the ocean had such powerful effects and healing benefits for people with cystic fibrosis. And when I heard that, that was the greatest thing I could ever hear, because that was an environment that I was born in, that was an environment that I love, and that was an environment I knew I could use as a tool to help her. When you watch Piper do her nebulizer, part of that is a 3% salt saline solution. So she's breathing salt water. That has been found to really help extend their life expectancy. But what's more important is, imagine this. You got a kid on a couch breathing salt water, doing a nebulizer treatment with a vest. Or you got a kid in the ocean playing, whether you're surfing, boogie boarding, skimboarding, paddleboarding, swimming, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're exercising your lungs in an environment where not only is the solution of water around you salt, but the air, the mist in the air is salt. So the importance of salt and the ocean to a cystic fibrosis patients could be the difference of a lifetime. I want Piper to be able to grow up and use every single day and every single minute and every single second as an empowering one, and to never let cystic fibrosis be an excuse to live the life she wants to live fully, to live happily, to love, to adventure, and to make the most of her time while she's on this planet, because none of us know how much time we have, and she doesn't know either. And there's a lot of landmines in the future of people with cystic fibrosis, and Piper will run into those. But if she makes the most of every single minute of her life, at the end of the road, no matter when that is, she can look back and say, I lived and I loved and I made the most of my journey. And that's what's most important to me, and that was the entire point of the crossing in itself, was to be bold in the face of fear, and to not let fear run your life, but to let love be the underlying current that drives you on your path.